how do I put it? It was like,
Welcome, welcome. How's everyone doing? It's Rise Above. Yeah, that's the one. Welcome to the midweek chat, everyone. My name's Double LMC, and I will welcome my sensei, my teacher, and part of the Rise Above team, Mr. Inner Guardians, aka Master Lee. Welcome.
Salutations and
Elucidations.
and common sense. That's not so common.
Common sense that's not so common. That's a very good start, isn't it?
Yeah.
How's it going anyway? It's been a week since we last spoke.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, nice and busy.
Oh, someone's saying this stream has already been blocked on Facebook, so that must be a good start. We've got 45 people tuned in. Let's get another screen going here as well, another little camera. So it's Rise Above. It's the midweek chat. Not a massive studio show or anything like that. I know we've had a bit of a break recently because I got married on Saturday, officially.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Got the ball and chain installed. And as everyone knows, we're having the party this week, so there's no Rise Above on Friday. Hence, just the midweek chat for the last couple of weeks. But as ever, I think it's very constructive, Master Lee, that we have these little midweek get-togethers.
Sure. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, it's a good touching point. I mean, I've literally taken a massive break from what's going on. I'm totally out of the loop. I'm sure everyone in the comment section, and big up everyone tuned in. Who we got here? Chris Hayes, Lyman Limpid, you're new. Big up Helen, Bradley Golden, Antigone, Becky S. Who else we got? Kiara. Got all the crew. Steve B, LA Smudge. Welcome everyone. It's Rise Above. Let's have one more jingle.
Don't believe me?
So,
How are we doing with any new jingles?
The new jingles will be coming when we do the first big studio show back, which will be next week. When I invite Andy PG back into the studio, when Oma Beats finally sends over those jingles which we work so diligently on. That's Scraggly Tramp. Big up Scraggly Tramp. All the crew up north. Everyone that's tuned in from all over the UK, Europe, North America, South America, Australia, New Zealand, wherever you tuned in. What should we kick it off with? This is something that...
Don't forget Outside the Crater.
Oh, and outside the crater as well. Sirius B, Mars, Jupiter, all the different areas outside the crater we're broadcasting to you as well. Big up Chrissy, all the Rise Above fam.
And any entities.
Yeah, and any disembodied entities that might be listening in too. Let's talk about exemptions and immunity passports. Because that's a big topic at the moment, isn't it?
Well, that's the next thing on the agenda, isn't it?
Yes. For anyone that knows my work from all the work that got deleted last month, I was talking about this over a year ago about how this was coming down the line for the digital ID. Basically, the technocratic show me your papers for the rest of your life infrastructure that's been coming down the line. It's coming close to me because, obviously, as everyone knows, I'm a performer, I'm an artist, and I need to perform at large venues, at festivals, etc., etc. And from the 1st of September, apparently, to get into these large arenas, festivals, nightclubs, it's going to be compulsory, apparently, to show a proof of spearage or some sort of digital immunity. Now, everyone's heard about this. We've seen some artists already saying, I'll boycott any venue that plays along with these rules. Who said that so far? Ian Brown. A couple of rappers have. Now, the reason that I'm going to be talking about this today is because I was previously on the boycott anyone that takes part in this tip. Now, I'm going to start sharing the screen, something I don't normally do on a Wednesday. We're going to share the entire screen. Yes, this one here. Because what I've got here, let me just get rid of the chat overlay. These are the terms and conditions for using the NHS COVID pass. Now, we've all heard different stuff about this through the mainstream media, secondhand through people online. But what what is actually the score from the 1st of September. So let's have a little look down. A lot of this actually applies to leaving the country and stuff. Right, so domestic, here we go. For domestic purposes, those 18 and over can obtain an NHS COVID pass. Now, to get this, there are 3 things. Funnily enough, it's always 3, isn't it, in the Guardians? There are 3 things, one of 3, which you need to complete to become COVID pass worthy. The first one is after 2 weeks of completing a full course of spearing. So that's a double procedure. Whether that requires 2 doses, 2 dose or 1 dose, it says here. After 2 doses of the Moderna, AstraZeneca or Pfizer procedure, or after 1 dose of the Janssen procedure. Have you ever heard of that? Janssen? I haven't heard of that. That's new to me. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you can show evidence of a negative PCR or rapid flow test taken within 48 hours of entry to the venue. With both at home and on-site where available being accepted, a lateral flow test taken will need to be reported into a public reporting system. Or thirdly, you can use this app to show proof of natural immunity by having a positive PCR test for COVID 1984. Within 180 days of the date of the positive test, you need to be at the venue, and you need to have shown, listen to these restrictions, you need to show a period of self-isolation, which I believe is 10 days. Quite a lot in there, isn't there? There's a lot packed in.
Yeah. I need to go through this myself.
Yeah. Now I've been going through it. Now
I've been struggling to stay in this dimension with all this nonsense going on.
Yeah, I can quite understand anybody that wants to escape this dimension at the moment with everything that's going on.
I'm just going to go on mute because my dog's barking. So
No problem, mate. So as we scroll down, we get to the guidance for venue operators. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me, because this is going to genuinely affect the rest of my professional career as a whole. The use of the NHS pass is voluntary for individual organisations. However, we encourage the use of the NHS COVID pass in facilities or events where people are likely to be in close proximity to a large number of people from other households for a sustained period of time. So, crowded, unstructured indoor events such as nightclubs and music venues, large unstructured outdoors events as business events or festivals, very large structured events such as business events, music and spectator sports events. Now in the next month, I have a very large festival to attend with over 20,000 people at, to perform at, and I've also got a boxing show which is on TV and it's in the O2 Arena. Both of these venues are going to be falling under this jurisdiction. Now, here's the interesting bit. This is where it gets interesting. And everyone that's watching, this applies to everyone. So please listen up. How can your customers demonstrate their COVID-19 status? They can either use the NHS app on a smartphone screen showing their QR code. So you have to fulfill one of these criterias and then you can show your QR code. A PDF on a smartphone screen with a QR code is the second option. An NHS COVID pass letter with a barcode that's scannable is the third option. Or you can show proof of a clinical trial exemption. So, proof of a clinical trial exemption. What does that mean? Those who have participated in a clinical steerage trial have been provided with a letter. Right, okay. So they were part of a trial. They got a letter. Okay, so we're going through all of it here. Why am I talking about this? Well, it's because when you get to this bit, let's go. Let's make this big. This is the important bit, rise above people. Exemptions. There will be a small number of exemptions for individuals who have a medical reason, which means they cannot spear or be tested. These individuals will need to self-declare their medical exemption directly with you. Now, this is the venue owner. Okay? Yeah, stupid poo head. So you're going to the O2. You need to listen to what I'm saying. This is how you beat it. So, a digital solution is being developed which will enable individuals with a medical exemption to show their COVID-19 status using the COVID pass. In the interim, please follow the advice below. Listen carefully. Listen up. Please be mindful and respectful where there are potentially circumstances where a customer or individual cannot safely demonstrate their COVID-19 status by taking a spearage or a test. These people could include people with learning disabilities, autistic individuals, a combination of impairments that could cause distress, those suffering under medical supervision for acute or a serious disease, etc., etc. Now, event and venue organisers in England that choose to use the NHS COVID pass can decide whether to accept self-declared medical exemptions where an individual cannot vaccinate or test, ensuring that they comply with the Equalities Act 2010. Here we go. This is the important bit, boys and girls. This is the bit where you can just say no. Very, very important. Your customers may declare a medical exemption directly with you. You and your staff should not ask for evidence of the exemption. I will repeat. Your customers may declare a medical exemption directly to you. Your staff should not ask for evidence of the exemption. Exactly the same with wearing a mask into a shop. If businesses decide to require evidence of a COVID-19 status as a condition of entry, they should ensure that they comply with all of the relevant legal obligations. For example, the UK Equalities Act 2010 and all the guidance that applies. This is great. You know, remember how I beat the Soviet Union in court? I simply paid a barrister to read the small print. Well, this time we can read the small print ourselves. There isn't that much. Please consider the following steps. You may see an individual wearing a visual cue to indicate they are declaring a medical exemption from testing and from getting speared. Please note, any form of visual cue that indicates an exemption should be respected. This can include a handmade sign. What do you know about that in the Guardians? You can make a handmade sign just saying, I'm exempt.
Yep.
It is not mandatory for an individual to wear a visual cue to outline they're exempt. You should not ask these individuals to demonstrate their COVID-19 status through the NHS app. If you cannot see a visual cue, but need to ask a customer to demonstrate their status or declare a medical exemption, please keep your distance to help protect them. If you're wearing it, so you can see where this is going.
We need to get t-shirts done.
Oh, well, if I had time, if I wasn't already having a problem with the t-shirt supply, I was just going to get a t-shirt just saying COVID exempt.
Yeah.
So here they've actually supplied a little picture that you can put on your phone. I'm exempt from using the NHS COVID pass. Or you can wear your sunflower lanyard scheme. I really think we should make some rise above exempt lanyards. You can put your keys on them. You don't need you don't need to have a card or anything.
You could have something like, I value myself.
Yeah, I value my health. So, why have I gone into so much detail about that? Well, here's the thing. Everyone is expecting me to boycott the events, but I'm not going to, and here's why. And I'm ready to be called a hypocrite, okay? I'm ready for that. Like I said to you before we came on the show earlier in The Guardians, you can't change the world by sitting on your sofa at home.
Or under the kitchen table.
Or under the kitchen table.
Yeah.
Now, the fact is that the Soviet Union has left a gaping hole for us once again to simply say no. If I wanted to be a smart ass and shoot myself in the foot, I wouldn't go and MC at the festival. And I wouldn't go and MC the boxing match. I would boycott and sit at home. But who am I really hurting? I'm hurting myself. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set an example. I'm going to go to both of these events. And I'm going to use this to enter them without even downloading the app. Because at the end of the day, if no one else does it, then everyone's just going to forget the small print. They're going to basically cave in. Because that's what it's about. It's about caving in, is it not?
Yep, the collapsing of the triad.
The collapsing of the triad.
Mm.
So, yeah. BKB on the 12th of August at the O2 Arena. I'll be attending that, and I'll be using the exemption to get in. The other festival at the end of the month, I'm not going to name it yet because I am getting booked. I haven't officially been booked. I was actually expecting them to boycott me, funnily enough, after everything that I've said online, because it's a very, very commercial festival. I've played there for the last 4 or 5 years now, so I don't really want to give it up. And also, it's going to be an excellent opportunity to spray loads of anti-Soviet Union bars in front of thousands and thousands of young, impressionable minds, which is an opportunity I don't really think I should pass up.
No, it has to be done.
Do you think it's unethical for me to play at these events when others are saying we will boycott anyone that's using the pass? Because that's what I was going to do. What do you think about this in The Guardian?
Well, there's that saying about the devil makes the best music. So, yeah, I mean, like, I stay on Facebook because I don't want to give up my right not to be there if I choose to.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, however much I hate it, as many, like, literally every day, I try, I go to delete myself, and then I'm like, no, I'm going to stay there.
Well, it's sort of the reason that we're still on YouTube. Because people say, why are you battling the algorithm and the censorship? Why are you continuing to be on YouTube? Well, it's sort of like, it's our right, isn't it? We're only telling the truth.
Exactly, yeah.
Apart from that, it's the old adage of, you can go into these alternative sites where everyone is already on board with what you're saying. So it's the whole preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's that's sort of a waste of time, is it not?
Yeah, echo chambers.
Yeah, exactly. Just a massive echo chamber. So, yeah, I mean, now I've aired this, I feel, because I know a lot of people were expecting me to boycott these events, but if it was just one, I would have thought about it. But then I realised, well, look, if the O2 are doing this, how am I ever going to appear on TV again if I can't get into these big top flight venues? God, we've got to make a stand now.
Yeah, we're going to make a stand now because I predicted actually last year that the way that they would actually enforce or pseudo-enforce the ID would be that they wouldn't start with the things like shops or shopping, because that would create too much of a pushback. So they're going to go right to the back of the things that were classed as non-essential and that were shut down for the longest, and then work their way backwards. So eventually we'll come towards the shops and, things that you need to actually live.
Yeah, because like Israel went straight for the jugular. They just went like cafes, shops, supermarkets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I suppose it's the thin end of the wedge. It's the leisure time.
Yeah, well, if you look at the things that shut down first and the things that were last to open, so like nightclubs and gyms as an example. So they're the ones that they're going to experiment with to bring this through, slowly but surely. But like you've just displayed, there's the exemption.
And while it's there, surely we must use it, because I only know this because someone's pointed out to me online. I mean, if I'd really thought hard about this, I'm sure I would have probably realised this was the case anyway, because it's always the case with the Soviet Union. You read the small print, there's a way out. It's like a computer game where they leave the cheat in the instruction book.
Yeah, because it's a war. It's a war on consent. It's the invisible war, all to do with consent. You heard me mention right from the off about self-slaughtering. The ultimate aim and ambition is for you to do it to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, it's lawful in terms of cosmic or universal laws. It's lawful that you have to hurt yourself. They don't do it to you. They just set it up. So it looks like a particular thing, when in actual fact, it's all down to, first of all, it's down to the lack of selfhood, which they've been working on for the last few thousand years. And then they've ramped it up in the last, say, 30 years, or since the 60s. There's been an attack on the selfhood and, the toxic, feminine, toxic masculinity and all that stuff. And the sort of breakdown of people's self-worth and value.
The attack on selfhood. I'm just putting the link for this, the NHS, the NHS site, which I've just been reading from, in the comment section.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're always about protecting the selfhood, by, in this case, reading the small print. I'm actually really looking forward to the battle now, because I was thinking, it's no fun just to say, I'm not going to come. You can screw yourselves. There's no recatalyzing of the denying force there.
No.
That's a collapsed triad, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep, and I mentioned it in one of my posts on Facebook on the Inner Guardians page that one person's denying force is another person's affirming force. There's no real escape from it. And so, as an example, we use the context of denying force to mean something bad. Well, that's not necessarily the case, and this is why I say don't despise the denying force, because by saying no, you're applying a denying force to them. So denying force can actually be useful. Saying no is actually the denying force for them. It's an affirming force for you.
Because I've just put it up. There's a comment from Alex Wright. He says, and this is actually on Facebook, I have to say people just need to completely boycott anything with these restrictions and under no circumstances work around them. Otherwise, it's adoption and acceptance. I can see what he's saying.
Yeah.
I can see what he's saying.
It's got to be tried, though.
It's got to be tried. Because if no one uses the loophole, if no one says no, if no one uses the exemption, then everyone's just going to carry on complying with it, and we have a small amount of people that are boycotting. You know, surely if we were to show the loopholes, you can actually boycott it while still attending. I think that's the idea that I'm coming from. You can boycott the rules while still attending the event.
Would that be the equivalent of saying, because of the mask mandates, I'm going to boycott going to the shop?
This is what I was thinking earlier on, because at the end of the day, I still, you know, I try to support local businesses as much as I can, but it is sort of my right to have the convenience, like everyone else, of being able to go to the supermarket. And if I can just say no to that rule, then what's the difference?
Yeah.
Anyone got any other thoughts? There's some people in the comment section saying, yeah, you know, it's your right to carry on with my career.
Remember, this is the best apocalypse ever, and they're providing the catalyst for us to actually. It's like a mirror. We're actually able to see how much self-worth we have, self-value, and how assertive and how we can assert our energy, even our posture, using, because it's going to take a degree of verbal ninja to get in these venues, because
of course. And I'm going to say not everyone will even be capable of igniting their third force into it in such a way they can actually do this. Sasha English has made a very good point. If you boycott everything, then you're actually doing the government's work for them. You're actually taking part in the Greta Reset. Because the Greta Reset wants you to stay at home and not attend these events whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, the other alternative is, but then this creates another paradigm of ethics, of having like exempt venues or exempt events. I mean, I've toyed with the idea of having, with my teaching, having classes for only the non-speared. Now, I've nearly pulled the trigger on it a few times, but I'm kind of playing into the game in some ways. It's a tricky one.
You're actually buying into, because you're taking part in the division, which is what they want.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It makes perfect sense. You know, for instance, to have. I mean, I don't know whether they would come after you with regards to discrimination. I guess they would use that against you in some way.
How do you mean?
Well, because it means I'm discriminating against those that have been speared.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because then you know, they could use the argument, well, it's my right to discriminate against you because you haven't been speared. So touche, you know, you can't come into my venue.
Exactly. Yeah. So if I stand my ground on that, then they can stand their ground on what they want to do.
I suppose if we looked at it, if we took away the spearing and we looked at the last historical reference point of this happening, let's say like apartheid, right? Would it have been a way to get around black people not using the water fountain or having to sit at the back of the bus by having black-only water fountains and buses?
Good point, yeah.
Yeah, because what we're basically talking about is enforcing segregation. And although I try not to talk about this inflammatory stuff too much with the BLM and everything, in the US, some universities have actually moved towards that, like for the separate colour graduation events and stuff. You know, and their idea is that they're battling racism by using segregation. So I kind of see that as almost a bit of the same thing. You know, if we're going to say, you know, if you've taken part in the Soviet Union, you're just not welcome around here anymore. I see both sides
Well,
of this.
I think part of the excuse me, part of the large agenda is that the eradication of race itself, but implementing a pharmaceutical form of division.
Yeah, a pharmaceutical caste system based
Yeah.
on your level of your level of immunity upgrade or
So,
immunity compliance or whatever it's going to be.
yeah, so instead of people referring to your ethnicity, they'll refer to are you green, amber, or red, as an example.
Yeah.
But then there's another interesting point. When spear number 3 comes out, are those with 3 going to look down on those with 2 or 1?
Well, here's the funny thing, and I'm glad you brought that up because I don't know if anybody saw Sajid Javid. Sounds like javelin to me, spearing.
Yeah.
He said, no, sorry, not Sajid Javid, Valance. He was talking about the placebos in Parliament, and we've talked about placebos a lot, and we sort of postulate that more people might have got the placebo than you think. But he actually said that those people will have valid immunity status, even though they've definitely taken a placebo. So when it comes to this, what we've been talking about here, their QR code will be just as valid as someone that is double nano Pfizer or whatever.
Well, that proves the nonsense.
Absolutely.
And I've come to, not totally, but I'm steering more towards that the majority have had the placebo.
Oh, we have a word nerd joining us. Welcome, word nerd. Word nerd, can you hear us?
Evening, everyone. Good evening,
Evening.
Wesley. Evening, Lance.
Evening.
How you doing, mate? How's the last week been for you?
Doing okay, yeah. It's funny, I've been looking at that a lot. I've been looking at that a lot this week.
Word nerd, can I just say, you've had a really good week because you've got a halo around you.
Yes, you have. You've developed a halo.
Can you hear me in real time?
Yeah, no, you sound great. So
Right,
you
yes,
said you've
yeah.
been looking into this as well, the exemption stuff?
Yeah, well, I saw the guy in Parliament saying, I don't know which chap it was, but it was literally saying that those who have had the placebo,
Valence.
will still be it'll still count as a procedure.
It will actually count of more a procedure.
You can get
than
the
those
passport.
people that had the AZ. Do you remember some people had the AZ that was a dodgy batch of gift from the stars, and they can't fly. So theoretically, someone with an actual placebo procedure is more valid than people that had the dodgy batch from India.
Right, they're all going to be valid to get a passport. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No sense. It's the Soviet Union, comrade, of course.
You know? It's not supposed to make sense.
If
Yeah.
it made sense, people wouldn't tune into Rise Above every week to try and make sense of it.
And I get the whole debate as well about towing the line. I hate it. I think it's going to end up inevitably being a bit of both. But energetically, like, where does it stop? Because in France already, it's like you can't shop. Apparently, it's potentially a 6 months prison sentence. Still need to look into that. Still looking for verification from anyone. That is definitely what's happening in France. But like, they're going to keep pushing this line forward, eh? It seems.
I saw a headline today about France. Kids can't attend school unless you're speared. So
Is that what
yeah.
they're saying? What, here?
No, for France.
For France, right.
Yeah.
Yep. It's very serious. It's only 30 miles away.
Yeah. I'm nearer to France than I am to most of the country here.
Right. That's why there's a D notice, I imagine. Yeah. Yeah, very serious. So like, yeah. So it's like, I get it, but we're getting to that point now where it's also like they're gonna keep, where's the bloody line? How much worse does it have to get, as we were saying last week?
How do you feel about me emceeing a music festival where apparently you have to have a COVID pass to get in, apparently, unless you read the small print? Do you think it's hypocritical?
It's completely well, for you to actually do it. Sorry, different question. For you.
Well,
to actually
yeah.
do
I mean,
it,
what I'm saying is,
how
if I
are
can
you
get,
gonna
if
get
I
in with your exemption pass, but you're talking about actually being there.
Well, I'm not talking about performing. I'm booked to perform, and I'm going to be hosting a stage with my good friend MC Spitter, he's probably watching now. He's totally on board with this. We were both going to boycott the event, but then I thought to myself, where can I cause more damage to the Soviet Union? Sat at home complaining on the internet that I've boycotted the event, or on stage in front of 5,000 impressionable young minds, busting bars about how I don't have to have a COVID pass to do what I'm doing, and neither do any of you. Because trust me, when I get there, I'm not going to be doing party bars. It's time to open their minds. I always go in like that.
Right, and you're not glorious curing yourself in order to get in, are you?
No, I'm literally saying I'm exempt from all of your COVID restrictions. You know, obviously, I'm not going to download an app to get in or
Right.
take a test.
I presume this was going to cause trouble for all of us in events that we weren't going to be able to do them. I haven't even contemplated it yet, because it's just so much to think about that.
Yeah,
You
so
know,
I've got
I'd
a
say it's
music
worth doing the
festival
event, worth
and
getting
a,
through to people, as long as you're not compromising yourself. Yeah.
well, it's
Absolutely.
not just that. I kind of want to set the example that you can do it. You can go there, and you don't have to. You just say no.
Right.
So
I mean, it's the equivalent of if you're going to boycott one thing, then you have to boycott everything. So
Yeah.
does that mean that those that are going to boycott events, are they not going to travel? Are they not going to go to a shop?
yeah,
Are they not, what are they going to do? And how are they going to make any effect in this realm?
yeah. I mean,
It's interesting, very interesting times ahead of us. Well, within the next few weeks, literally. I mean, it's right upon us.
absolutely.
People always say it's coming down the pipeline. Well, we're literally looking down the barrel,
Right.
point blank range.
Wolf is at the door.
Yeah. This will be, and this is why I've always been referring for the last, I'd say 6 months, that September is going to be the crucial moment. That will be the time when we get to find out, not necessarily other people, but with ourselves. We're going to have to ask a lot of questions. And we're going to ask a lot of questions about, do we value ourselves? What is our real value? Do we have any selfhood? Do we embody a sense of real self? Or do we have a backbone? Because it's all well and good knowing this, but being able to actually execute it in real time in the realm would be another story. This was why I always said it's no different to a personal protection situation. Now, if I said to somebody, would you allow your dreams, desires, and ambition, would you place them in the hands of your enemy?
No.
Nobody would. So
No
why
way.
why do they? Why do you? Why, not you, but why do people think that the so-called enemy or the power that shouldn't be have got your best interests? Where did that come
Only
from?
an idiot would think that. In my
I've been
opinion.
struggling with this all week because, especially coming from the left background, I'm flabbergasted. Either because it's like I actually know that there's a lot of people that are compromised and a lot of opposition that's organised, but then there's also not. There's loads of people, and I've almost specialised in trying to link with those people over 10 years, and the left is silent on this. And can you imagine any other time in history with any other situation where global corporations could be acting in this manner with an experimental procedure when we know procedures have been paying out damages in the billions for years, and these have all been hot topics now and popular for the last 10 years, and they're completely silent on this, and the government as well, overreaching, even if you want to call it a real crisis.
Do you know what's
or
even
a real
weirder
pandemic.
than all
And they're
the
silent on this issue.
all the lefty activists being silent? The only people that are allowed to be activists in the mainstream eye seem to be painted as far right agitators, and they apparently might be shills.
Whereas
So
the
it's
left
like
has had
the left has
support
been
for
muted, and the
years.
right has been replaced with a bunch of fake actors and agitators.
Right, yeah.
Right, I just want to say something. I want to erect everybody's triad.
Go for it.
But listen carefully. Right. So we're in a situation where it looks on the outside as though we're the victims and that we have to comply to this, that, and the other. Well, think about it, right? We have what they want. They don't have what we want. It's a seller's market. Now, if you've got selfhood and self-value, they have to give you, if you're going to go for the spear, then at least do it for something worthwhile. I can kind of see in the future that they'll literally buy you a house and buy you a Lamborghini. At the moment it's reached to the level of the kebab, getting a free kebab. A huge portion of people have done it for free.
Yeah, they must be gutted. They didn't even get a kebab. Listen, if I was taking Bill Gates' top nano juice, I would at least want a brand new Xbox X.
Yeah.
At least put me on the waiting list to get one.
Now, here's an example, right? Now, if you look at marketing and things like that, and sales, so could you walk into a Bugatti showroom or even a Bentley showroom or Rolls-Royce showroom and say, can I have one for free? You couldn't, could you? Why? Because they value their cars. You'd have to buy it for a huge amount of money. Well,
And
you,
you'd have to wait.
yeah, you'd be on a waiting list. If you value yourself, I mean, I value myself as greater than a Bugatti. So why would I give my essence, my bodily integrity for free? At least negotiate. I mean, I still wouldn't sell up, but at least negotiate with me. Don't think you can get, you can stick something into me for free.
Listen, my essence is worth a lot of money. What, you want to give up my? You want to inroad to my essence factory for the rest of my natural life? Okay, right. Go open your checkbook.
Yeah, and this is the problem, right? People, unfortunately, because
There's
of all
no
the
price
fire-
for that, surely.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, other people that sold their souls, they get a lot of money for it.
I don't think, sadly, a lot of people don't know, do they? They don't know what. I've had family members take it because other family members are saying you can't see them if they don't get, because everyone thinks the safest thing to do is to get speared. It's madness.
Yeah, but that's what
Honestly,
they're
madness.
that's what they're selling. When there's a saying, right? Anything for free, you're the product. So right now, the spear is for free, technically. But what they're trying to add onto it, to add value to it, is that you get this and you get that. It's a form of operant condition, like reward for good behavior, for obedience. Yeah, but they're offering you what you've already got anyway. So you're not actually getting anything because you already had it.
It's something they allegedly took away, or they convince you that you didn't have, which you actually had all along.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about are we talking about the immune system or freedom here, or the synergy of the new immuno freedom? That's good, immuno freedom, because that's what the Soviet Union have done. They've swabbed two things together.
Right. I've had a real interesting week going through some of my old stuff that I learnt in the occult groups going 20 years back. Now, I read something this week and it said, at the moment of death, the body is disembodied and different substances are taken out of the body and go to different places. Literally, they're traded. And you know what the number one thing it said? It says, and I wasn't aware of this until this week. Well, I heard it before, but it didn't click. The immunity. Immunity is a substance that is taken away and fed to planetary bodies or cosmic forces.
But
Immunity. It says immunity.
is that what, like, the moon washes down its fertilizer with, like a nice cup of like liquidized human peasant immunity?
Yeah, but right, can you imagine? Can you imagine the look on my face?
Gosh,
That they trade, and I'm talking like higher forces. Your immunity is on the stock market of the cosmos. That plays directly into what's happening right now. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to artificially remove your natural immunity.
the time's actually trying to cuck our own immunity away from us. They're trying to move in with a piece of Schwabian technology.
Yep.
And convince us that our own like natural, organic immunity is inferior to something created by Bill Gates and Schwab.
Yeah.
Essentially,
That is right. Think about it, right? If you don't believe you have any immunity, that is equal to a very, very low sense of selfhood. That is like the ultimate.
it's like one side of your triad has just been removed by default, and they're offering you this crutch that will just slightly prop up your deck chair, but it's not. Your deck chair is still basically going to be two-dimensional.
Yeah, and they're going to have to. I mean, I don't really want to go too much into this in detail, but my take on it is that whatever this process does, it means that it has to keep being given to you on a yearly, monthly, daily, whatever.
Incremental Adrian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, we got sent a meme. Oh, let me find it. Carry on talking. Sorry, I got sent this meme. You know, we were talking about Adrian in that film Sons of Man.
Yeah.
Where people become infertile. Someone sent me a meme. Just find it. Here it is. Jesus. Bear with me a second. I just need to make this big so everyone can see it. Let me just share the screen. For anyone that remembers what we were talking about, was it last week we came up with this? Oh, why is that flashing? That's weird. Sorry, I've got some weird flashing shit there. That's what happens when I'm on my own on a Wednesday night. So yeah, when we say Adrian, we're talking about that thing called ADE, aren't we?
Yeah.
Advanced. What does it stand for? Autoimmune deficiency
Enhancement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Artificial.
So it's not actually. We're not talking about a disease. We're actually talking about a process, aren't we?
Yeah.
We can welcome Magix to the chat. Magix, welcome. Wednesday night.
Evening.
Rise above.
Evening. Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you great. How's it hanging?
Yeah, good.
Have you been listening in?
Yeah, man, from the start.
So, what do you think about my conundrum?
It's an interesting one, right?
What would you do, man?
I'm in two minds. As much as I want to say fuck everything, I quite like your plan.
Don't you think it could be? I mean, obviously, if I just went there and Coviet cucked it out and said, "Everyone, get your free procedure, make some noise." And here's the other thing, right? Here's the other thing. If I don't go and do it, guess what will happen? They'll replace me with a co-Proviet MC.
Someone else will do it.
Co-Proviet, a pro-Coviet MC who's just going to be compliant.
Proviet.
That's not a Proviet. Yeah, a Proviet.
Proviet.
A Proviet collaborator. What's the point in that? So. Yeah, and you best believe I'm going to do all of my new anti-Coviet bars. All of them. Probably twice.
But you're not being encouraged as host to promote it or anything like that then? There's been no...
Promote what?
The Glorious Cure or anything.
All I'm being
such.
employed to do is be double LMC. If anyone tries to... And no one has ever tried to tell me what I can say when I'm double LMC. If they do, that would be a problem. That would be a contractual problem. When I'm doing hosting for sports events, yeah, that's absolutely fine. But when I'm employed as an artist, I have complete artistic control over what I say. Apart from if I'm not allowed to swear, which I don't generally.
What's this about? I don't know if you've heard about this. Influencers on Instagram and various social platforms being offered 500.
I saw about this last year. I mean, some very low-level influence, I would say, with a smaller reach than me, had been offered £1,000 or £500 to say they were taking the procedure.
Who's offering them today? That's an interesting thing.
I believe the one example that I looked into came through a regional health body.
It's from the
government, isn't it?
Have you seen on Facebook? Every time I log on, there's a message saying, "Health workers, please share your vaccine thing and say you've had it." It's literally telling you to go and share that you've had it. Every time I log into Facebook. For health workers specifically.
Yeah, go on the internet and virtue signal about your procedure.
It's
Also get
literally
all the
telling you
nurses
to.
yeah, because people trust them. People trust nurses.
I'm
People trust
contacted by a whistleblower, or not a whistleblower because they're not revealing their name to me. I'm contacted by someone that works in Glorious Cure distribution, and they assure me that it's not going as well as we're being told. They assure me that in the last month or two, a lot of the Glorious Cure shipments have had to be chucked out because they've gone past their sell-by date.
Still whistleblower anonymously.
Sorry, Karen.
No, they're
No,
just
it's
saying
just a-
that
just a
with the
verbal
youngsters, it's
distinction.
not going how we're being told at all. Hashtag clot shot. Apparently, it's
Just
you know,
hard to verify, though.
So
Yeah.
it can't be going right because they're offering kebabs.
I was going to say, it's
And-
an act of desperation as well, doesn't it? As well as
So
being
the-
cheeky.
There's another thing. A lot of these contracts, when they ordered their vaccines, obviously we've ordered, what is it, 500 million plus? You got to pay for them. So if they don't use them, they got to fucking get them out there.
Yeah, well, you've seen. Did you see that music festival that they talked about in the Daily Mail that pops up in the centre of London in Tower Hamlets? It was totally impromptu. People walked past. You walked in. There was free music, free entry, and you got free food tokens if you had a procedure inside the music festival. What's it? Thorpe Park.
Fuck's sake.
Thorpe Park were giving people the procedure in the queue for some of the rides. Now let's have a little reload. Let's recapitulate. Yeah.
Whoa.
When
What?
you take no, this is true. Please, someone in the comment section, Google this. It was either it wasn't Polton's Park. It was either Thorpe Park or what's the other big one?
Wow.
Alton Towers. Yeah. So some of the big queues, 2 hours long for the major rides. So you know, While
They
you're
weren't
killing-
queue jumping them if they
While
get
you're
the
killing
procedure.
time, roll up your sleeve, have a glorious
chat.
cure.
What?
But when you have the glorious cure, I'm absolutely sure that you're supposed to sit quietly and
Yeah.
not do anything strenuous for 30 minutes
not-
afterwards.
Not get on a roller
Here.
coaster.
Sit down.
Shake it about, make sure it gets all the way through.
Yeah.
Whilst it's
Hold
sneaking
on
past
tight,
your
and you're
body's
literally
defences.
chucked upside down, round and round. It was like, imagine that.
Are they offering those flight socks before you go on the roller coaster?
What's a flight sock?
It stops the deep vein thrombosis.
Oh, right. Okay, for those on the... Here, you get a free clot shot. A free clot sock. Gosh.
Wow.
Oh, no. I
Be
just
out
turned
of your
off the
mind
gosh
by the end of the track.
I just think that's utterly crazy. It's like,
It is insane.
it's not just me. Like that's really weird.
It is
Because
weird.
I'm sure about maybe
It's a
6
medical
months ago,
procedure.
It's a medical procedure. They were saying about giving them
This
about-
this,
go on.
this confirms what I was saying about the majority of placebos. So if you're going to
Yeah.
get one, go to Alton Towers.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, I mean, unless they really want to Greta reset Alton Towers and just put it under, and they have loads of people having like fits on the machines and that, that would be the most likely place to get a placebo. I think probably
Am I right in still thinking they've still got to be kept below -70 or whatever it is, yeah?
the one with the Schwab tech has to be.
Yeah. So how are they doing that at Fort Park?
So maybe they're in their like the Jurassic Park section in the nanotube. But hey,
We're
wait a
going to
minute.
get still one like the fat dude.
We pulled something up a minute ago on the NHS app, and they're talking about the three big hitters for the double procedure. But they're saying one, you can have a single procedure. It's called Janssen. Am I not thinking that Janssen was that the name of that computer game, Deus Ex Machina, where everyone's like augmented in the future? That was it. Yeah, that was his name.
Jansen's J&J.
Oh, is it?
You know what
Yeah,
I predict will happen?
Go for it.
I'm kind of jesting a little bit. That when it comes to, say, I don't know, the last 5%, that they'll probably turn around and say, look, you can have the placebo one and a Bugatti.
I'll wait for that.
Because it's like when
And we'll
it's in
pay,
reverse.
pay for your property that we're going to take off you in 2030 anyway. But for 5 years or whatever, you can have it.
Big up Virus Man 2020 live in the comment section. Hang tight, everybody tuned in. Wow, 140 people on a Wednesday night. Excellent. As everyone knows, there's no rise above this Friday because I am having my wedding party on Saturday. We will resume normal business next week. So yeah, we've got Word Nerd, Magics, Inner Guardians. We've been talking about procedure passports, exemptions, saying no, basically. And Inner Guardians, you were talking about selfhood.
Yeah, well, I think this is the ultimate test of selfhood, especially with what I found out doing a little bit of reading this week with regards to your immune system or your immunity is actually a substance it's a tangible substance that leaves the body at death. Where it goes, who knows? But there's various speculation on where it goes to or where it can go to. But the mere fact that it's identified as a substance, we're not talking about essence, we're not talking about soul, we're not talking about electromagnetic frequencies or anything like that. We're talking about your immune system is a tangible substance to be traded.
A tradable asset.
Yeah, to be traded in the cosmos.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I would link, and I actually did a video on Inner Guardians about the immune system and taking care of yourself. Like, caring about yourself means you care about your immune system. If you don't care about yourself, then you don't care about your immune system. Your immune system is personal protection. Think about it.
It's the ultimate personal protection, surely.
Yeah. And that's why I made
Actual PPE.
I made a short video about, paying attention to immune system. I actually developed some exercises. Some of them were shown to me, but I actually took them a bit further, where you could actually get into a deep state and sense your immune system. It dates back from when I was a professional athlete, and getting sick was a major problem because it meant I wouldn't get paid if I got ill before a competition. So I started to do a lot of research into my immune system and how I could make it stronger. So it's all well and good going to the gym, lifting weights, or going to the MMA gym for a workout. But if your immune system is flawed, then you're going to be sick anyway, so you can't do anything. So I spent quite a bit of time researching into, and I'm not just talking about like taking supplements. It's actually about the relaxation and the sensing of your immune system, because we all know that the immune system is suppressed when we're stressed. So I'm pretty sure that people that practice meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, all those things, they understand this anyway. And even if you look at the Chinese internal health arts, they're totally they've got the gist of the immune system. But for the average person in the West, we're totally oblivious to the immune system. If I walk up to somebody and say, excuse me, if I say to them, "How's your immune system going?" They won't be able to answer.
It's not sort of I mean, for me, it's something my dad has always spoke about a lot, because he's sort of like not officially into alternative health, but he sort of is, without always going on about it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's always been on about, you know, taking things like cod liver oil, royal jelly, natural supplements to just have that natural immunity by default.
Yeah, but
You
I'm
know,
talking sensing, excuse me, being able to sense your immune system working. The only time we ever connect with our immune system is when we're ill. Now, what I was able to do, I was able to almost not predict that I was going to come down with something, but when I could sense that I was getting stressed or tired or overtraining, that I could actually practice making friends with my immune system, talking to my immune system, communicating with my immune system as though it's a tangible thing. So I don't just. It's like only calling your mate when you're in trouble.
Or
Well,
that makes
have a
sense.
good
You talk to yourself
relationship.
when you're sick, don't you? That makes
Have a
sense.
good
Like, come on,
relationship with your
body.
mate.
Then you suddenly starting a conversation. Sorry, Lance. And asking
No, I'm
for
just saying,
cooperation.
like, have a good relationship with your immune system. Treat it like a friend. Don't just call them when you're in trouble.
Exactly. Yeah, and
Right.
unfortunately, that's what most people do, because they don't value their immune system. It's almost like, well, I don't need you at the moment because I'm not sick. And then when people feel ill, all of a sudden they're very friendly towards their immune system. And then as soon as they're better, they abandon. You know, imagine your immune system was a friend. You know, you couldn't just pick up your friend and dump them every 5 minutes or every few weeks or twice a year or whatever it is when people get sick. You can actually communicate using deep state frequencies. We should all know this. This should be taught to us at school.
What do you mean you started using deep state frequencies? I understood you up to the last sentence.
Well, it's like a type of relaxation, and basically it's an embodiment. So you go back into your body, and for instance, instead of placing your attention on, say, your muscles or your joints or your bones, you take it a step further. I mean, most people that practice any form of meditation, that probably the deepest they take it will be the breathing or the breath, the in and the out, or holding the breath or whatever, or the retention. But you can actually follow the awareness of the blood.
So this is something, when I was doing a lot of Qigong, you'd like follow it through your system.
Yeah.
And if it's following the breath, I don't know if that's slightly different, but it's similar. It's the same sort of principle, right?
Yeah, well, what I would do is I recommend, and this is what I did, I got books on physiology and just first of all, I looked at it visually. You know, what does my immune system look like? What is the lymphatic system like? You know, where are the lymph nodes around the body? So instead of just me placing my attention on my feet, my legs, you know, my spine, my head, I would just go in and in and in and in and keep going. You know, you don't just stop at your muscles or your bones. It's a form of psychological prayer. It's the inner conversation to the higher or the inner cosmic aspects. I mean, you've heard of Hermetic. Hermetic doesn't necessarily mean Hermes. It means to be a hermit. What is a hermit? It's somebody that lives by themselves. What does a hermit do? They talk to themselves. If you talk to yourself now, you get sectioned. It's the
Yep.
ultimate form of prayer. Now, the definition of a hermit is somebody that's in isolation. Now, this is another thing that they gave us for free. We should use the opportunity when we're in isolation to start communicating with ourselves. And the thing is, are your thoughts, and this is a very, very profound question, are your thoughts your own? Spending time by yourself, you'll quickly find out. And this is why people don't like being alone. Because they suddenly realize that even their own thoughts aren't theirs, they've been programmed.
This was something interesting. I was talking about Sam Kana earlier. I don't know if you guys saw in the chat. I'm going to murder this pronunciation. It's communitarianism.
Communitarianism.
Yeah. So it's a strange one. Very strange sort of philosophy.
Is it a bit like communism?
No.
Without any like forced redistribution.
It's the complete list of self in every way, whereas communism, so you still have the individual as well as the group, whereas communitarianism
Here it is, it's on the screen. Communitarianism.
Is it nihilistic?
It's an interesting one. So it's everything is to the community, not the self at all. So it's a complete opposite of learning oneself. You're completely, but it teaches your surroundings create the personality instead of the personality being a self.
Well, that's the essence of communism. It's just that
Yes.
with all systems. I mean, communism, in its essence, is actually pretty cool. I was a socialist for many years. And then when I actually went to socialist countries, then I realized it wasn't, when I saw the palaces in socialist and communist countries and, the champagne socialism, I changed my mind. But on paper, it's utopia.
Yeah.
Like many things, a great idea until the bloody execution of it happens.
Yeah. What is it? The path to hell is
the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
That's it. Yeah. Although I don't think there's any good intentions in any of these.
I'm not going to try and pronounce it again. But it says our
communitarianism
is completely.
Can't we give it a code?
Yeah, it's completely influenced from our surroundings, from our society. And it's basically saying that we are not unique and that we are not individuals at all. Everything about us is created from our community, which is a strange thought.
It's collectivism, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's both.
But most extreme.
It sounds nihilistic, but here's one for you. Right, you've all heard of the term Gnosticism or Gnostics, yeah?
Yep.
What if I was to tell you that the elite and the powers that shouldn't be, they're actually Gnostics?
Yeah.
They
Dark
hate
Gnostics.
They hate this place, and they also hate you. That's true.
Yeah. They really hate us. They hate everything about us.
They hate this realm. They absolutely hate this realm. The same as the Gnostics. They hate this realm, but they just come to a realization that how can they benefit from it, and that's why they do what they do, and that's how they can do what they do, because they actually hate this place.
Can't beat them, join them, invert them, subvert them, dominate them.
Is Gnosticism a major part of the Masons? Is that a part of their major spiritual? I've read a lot of stuff, and they're always bunched together.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Gnosticism is just a word. Words can be used for many different in many different contexts. So this is why you kind of have to apply the light occultists, dark occultists, light Gnostics, dark Gnostics. It's like saying a Christian. You get some very evil Christians. You get some very nice and pleasant Christians.
It's also like saying a Luciferian.
Yeah.
Because some of the things that we talk about in the show, we could be described as Luciferians. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Well, some people ask me if I'm a Gnostic, and oftentimes I'll say yes. And some people, they're completely mortified because their take on a Gnostic is totally evil.
Yeah, I would sort of lean towards describing my view of monotheistic religion as Gnostic, just because I sort of I give more credence to the Nag Hammadi text than I do the Bible. I think it's probably a more genuine interpretation of events from my own opinion. But does that make me a Gnostic? I mean, what does Gnostic really mean? It means it's to do with gnosis. I guess it's the opposite of an agnostic, someone that says I don't know. You know, a Gnostic is someone that seeks to know, I guess. Would that be fair to say?
That's how I understood it.
Well, yeah, I mean, in terms of Gnosticism versus Christianity, the Christians would generally term Gnostics as those that favour themselves over God. That's why it's completely a no-no.
Over their God.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why the Gnostics were persecuted. You know, they had to hide. And it was quite normal for Gnostic groups to go to church. And then they occulted everything.
Yeah, because you do still have Gnostic Christians that still, you know, worship Jesus and bear the cross and everything.
Well, I would say that there's a huge proportion of Christians that are actually undercover Gnostics.
Mm.
And occultists.
Tayshan, that's been on the show a couple of times, since he's been on the show, he's now turned into an evangelicalist, a preacher. He's literally what some people would describe as a Bible basher in the street, preaching the word of God. And I've got a lot of respect for Tayshan, and I haven't lost any of the respect because he started doing that. You know, I sort of generally probably have more respect for people that follow one religion very unanimously rather than someone that's an atheist. I would from a theological point of view. But I'd really like to have a discussion with him about Christianity because, you know, he's totally wise to the inversion of the dark occultists over the centuries. A lot of the stuff that we talk about, but yet he preaches the Bible. And I wonder if he's not actually coming at it from a Gnostic point of view without necessarily realising it. Because...
yeah, I mean, I can't speak on behalf of him, but for
Yeah.
a lot of Christians, they will say that the Bible, because of the power of the Bible, it can't be corrupted. Like man, they'll get
even if
struck
we know
down.
that it was written by dark occultists, like the King James Bible was written by John Dee.
Yeah,
He was
exactly.
literally a wizard, right?
Yeah.
That was his job. He was the wizard for the royals.
Well, and
He was
there's
a-
the
he was
other
a-
Bible, the one that I found from the Plantain Press.
Well, one of the first Bibles is written by some sort of like Jewish, Zoroastrian, Zohar reading priest that was employed by the Romans.
Was it Zoroastrian?
So
No.
not Zoroastrian. The Zohar is one of the mystical Jewish books along with the Kabbalah. Not Zoroastrian. I've got that wrong. The Zohar. So it's like whenever you look at who wrote what we call the Bible, it wasn't even written by people that were claiming to be Christians. It was actually written by occultists of other religions, namely mostly Jews.
And it's written on the Black Sea Scrolls anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, and whenever I point this out to people, they sort of dance. They say, well, you know, it's the word of God. But even though you know that even by its own admission, it wasn't written by God, it was written by a man. Someone pulled me up for talking about the law of one, saying, you know, how can you say that, listen to the law of one when you don't even know the Bible? It's like, well, I know more about who wrote the Bible than what's in it.
I know
So-
the Bible. King David's in the Bible.
Have you seen the comment? Someone pulled it up. It's like, you guys were talking about King David. I was like, mate, I honestly think the only time I've said the word King David on this show, I was always 100% referencing David Icke. I've never spoke about King David in the Bible once. It's always David Icke. It goes, you were talking about the Star of David in reference to King David. I was like, it was probably David Icke. I think this was where the confusion. I can't remember whose comment it was. It's all good. You know, we love to be pulled up on things, but I can't ever remember talking about actual King David from the Bible ever.
No, you were talking about David Icke.
I'm sure I was. I always refer to him as King David. Even if he is a shill or a Freemason, he's still King David. Come on.
Papa D. Well, he's just been around so long, and he's part of the furniture, isn't he? 20
Oh,
years
yeah, wait a minute.
plus.
What happened to Piers Corbyn last week? Hasn't he been exposed for taking a
The 10 grand? Ouch.
10 grand bribe from two guys that were posing as AstraZeneca
Yeah. Wow.
people?
No.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
video came out. These guys are pranksters, right? But the video sort of shows him accepting money to basically zoom in
In a
on-
brown envelope.
Yeah, Moderna and
It's not simple
Pfizer.
as that. You know, there's a triad to this story.
Go
I've
on.
been into it a bit, right? So you got three options. You got one that he's a shill and he took the bribe. The second one is that he got stitched up. The third option is that he stitched himself up because as part of a psychological operation.
All good options.
It's such a strange
What, you
thing
mean
because
it could have just been a prank that was just supposed to be a prank?
Well, they could have said it was a prank, and then I need to look at this. I haven't seen this.
But you had all the news all the newspaper articles were out in hours, within hours of it happening. How is that?
I mean, yeah, it could be a
sounds
Soviet
like a
Union
hit
hit
job,
job
doesn't
on
it?
him. It could be a Soviet
Yeah.
Union hit job on him. I mean, as if he hasn't got this. The guy hasn't got enough problems with some of the
Well,
people he hangs around with at the moment.
Who takes 10 grand in cash in a brown envelope of
No,
two young lads in suits?
I'm
Who
not
thinks-
I'm not defending him at all, right? But he claims that the conversation was 45 minutes and it was dissected.
Right.
And as an example, it's like it could be taken out of context because if they were going to do a proper revelation on him, every time somebody speaks, the camera would be on the speaking person. When in actual fact, it's quite easy to add words to the back of somebody's head.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Now, they should have, if that was a legitimate takedown, they should have had a camera on him and a camera on them. And when they spoke, you could see their lips moving in sync with the words and vice versa. But in actual fact, it's not quite as clear as that. I mean, nothing's ever simple. Yeah.
No, literally. And some in the comment section saying, well, how did they get the money back? In the video I saw, they basically switched it. They switched. They showed him a real £10,000. They switched it. I don't know.
I haven't seen it, but yeah, that sounds like, especially with what Lee said in context, it's so easy to do an hour of footage and then manipulate it.
I've had
Make
it done
look
to
like
me.
anything.
I've done interviews with the mainstream about completely different subjects, and they completely butchered the interview and took it totally out of context.
Right. You know how easily it can be done then.
Yeah,
I've been edited in a newspaper article when I had an interview. It's a
So
strange
easily
thing.
Oh yeah, it's happened to me as well. Actually, I got interviewed about the lifting bridge in Poole, and they took a photo of me. They sort of made me pose and took it from a weird angle, made me look really angry and like totally misquoted me. Put me on the front page of the Echo, and it's just like, yeah, great. I'm never
Look at
going to
every
speak to you
single-
guys
yeah.
ever again.
Yeah. It's easy to take a photo.
Remember I said ages ago, there's evidence to support every theory. Unfortunately, life would be really simple if everything was black and white. But there's always the triad, which makes things very difficult to figure out.
Well, if there wasn't any flow with the 3 points like what we alluded to before, if it was just point A and point B, then it would be much easier to work out what was happening if there wasn't the third angle and the flow.
Yeah, I think you've got to follow your intuition. This is where inner tuition or intuition kicks in. That you have to trust your senses about certain things because you're never going to get to the bottom of a lot of this.
Yeah, and now there's too much information to even do these deep digs that we used to do about all the different subjects. I'm glad you just brought this up. Eye for an Eye says, by the way, Lance and Rise Above, so pleased about the Sheep Farm Rise Above collab. Bring it. Right, this is getting out of hand. The Sheep Farm guys, apparently, I haven't even heard this yet properly,
Yeah,
but
it's
they gave us
brilliant.
what did they say?
So they basically were talking about stuff. They were talking about the Soviet Union, and they said,
Did they
so,
say the COVID? They
no,
say the COVID Union.
they were talking about like communism, and then they said, so the Rise of Boys Block guys have got a really good fucking name for this. It's the Soviet Union, and both of them said they quite often watch that we play wicked music and we go really deep into stuff. And they
Mate,
said,
I think
shout out.
Sheep Farm are brilliant, right? I've watched a couple of their digs, and they're doing
They're really
the type
good,
of-
man.
Mate, they're very good. Their research is spot on. They
I
are
think
doing
they
the
come
type
on
of
as well.
in-depth digs. They have to come on, mate. It's the type of
I
stuff
mean,
that
they're
I was
probably
doing last
listening
year.
now.
Yeah, but mate, they've picked up
Pick up the
and
Sheep Farm.
they've carried on where no one else is doing it. I saw this thing they did in about AstraZeneca and like all the people in Sage and that, and they were literally
Yeah,
showing
the
like
Sage
the
dig was amazing. That was the one. That was the one
Mate,
where I shout outs
I
on.
was quite jealous of that Sheep Farm crew. You guys really killed it on that. Yes, listen. I'll put the email on the screen. Someone get these guys to email me, man. We need to do a collaboration with the Sheep Farm
Basically, Rise Above
Studios.
fucking flash bomb the shit out of them. Is that what it's called?
What's a flash bomb?
Everyone go fucking tell them that they got to come on the show. Every single
Rise above
person.
livestream@gmail.com. Yeah, we should do a whole show where we just have the Sheep Farm boys on and we just get up like this week's news and we'll just
They've got
dissect the news. What are you saying in the Guardians?
I believe they've got their own platform because they don't hold back. They don't need to hold back on any of the language.
All their stuff's on their site, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they do.
they can just go full on without anything coded.
Oh, so we'll have to give them a full debriefing when they come on the show. Then we'll give them. We'll put like the words on the screen that like the code words.
I think they know from what they were saying.
I'm
think
pretty
they're
sure they
pretty
know
up
as
to it.
Oh, that reminds me of something else. Many years ago, I I got involved with zombie combat, and I got sort of volunteered to be the main zombie hunter. At the time, I didn't really know too much about sort of zombie culture because it's not sort of thing I'm into. I don't play video games or watch the movies.
Zombie culture.
Yeah, I had to do a lot of research. Anyway, I managed to get a book from America. I believe it was called The Zombie Manual. And I read it. And when I read it, I was like, wow, this is spot on in terms of real life tactics of how to kill people. Yeah, it's exactly, it's not fantasy. It's actually spot on. Anyway, I showed it to a friend of mine who's very switched on with regards to this book. And he said, well, it's coded. All they've done is replace the word zombie, replace the word human with zombie. It's basically a manual of how to kill people in terms of on an industrial scale. Now, you might not think too much of that, but when I sort of looked into it a bit further, I realized that it's occulted. It's an occulted manual of how to do a genocide. And he said to me, had they put humans instead of zombie, the book would have got banned. Because it goes into great detail, even how to get rid of the bodies.
Wow.
How to decapitate them, how to pull them apart, blah, 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 how to dispose of them, so on and so forth. Now, that led me to another thing, which I realized, science fiction. So as an example, right, we could right now, on YouTube, Facebook, any platform, do a science fiction story, but it's exactly the same as what's taking place right now. But because it's science fiction, you can't be censored.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
well, think about it, yeah? If we talked exactly right now, but we're saying, well, this is 1,000 years in the future, and we kind of moved it around a little bit and shuffled it about, but people get the gist of it, we could say anything we want. Because when they come for censorship, we'll say, oh, it's science fiction. Now, that leads me on to another thing, that a lot of the occultists from the past, very learned teachers of the occult, they all wrote about science fiction. They all wrote science fiction books.
Yeah, all of them.
All of them. So we should actually look at science fiction as though it's a factual manual.
Yeah. It's crazy because you brought this up. While I've had my little honeymoon week off with the Empress, I've decided to get a games console. We like playing computer games together. We haven't really done it, and I wanted to get like one of these new consoles with the ultra violent, ultra realistic games. Funny enough about zombies, because that's what they're all about, these survival games now.
Yep.
So I tried to get like a PS5 or an Xbox X. Couldn't even buy one for love nor money. Ended up buying a second-hand PS4, and I got this game called The Last of Us.
Yep.
Whoa. The Last of Us 2 just comes out, and you're based 20 years after, funny enough, a virus outbreak. And I realised, like, there are a lot of games like this. There are a lot of games like this, and you know, you're walking around and you're picking up anything you can, crafting these weapons, and you're literally like bludgeoning people. Their heads are exploding. It's super duper realistic. It's epic. It's really great. Not sure it's so great for my soul playing something so violent, but it's actually pretty good training.
Well, you
It's
heard
like-
about the quantum Gnostics,
I have that conflict all the
occultists,
time. Sorry.
and
Video games.
they always use video games as a reference point to knowledge and the truth. There's a lot of occulted knowledge in video games and the movies, like we all know about, you know, Matrix, Avatar. Some people say that the Matrix movie is actually an instructional manual.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff hidden in it. It must have been referenced in at least like 10 different lectures at uni when I was studying cinematics, philosophy, psychology. They kept bringing out the Matrix.
Yeah.
Did you see the guy that created the Matrix come out and said the whole film was about trans?
Oh, what, after they became trans? Yeah, sure. When the Wachowski brothers became the Wachowski sisters, and then all of a sudden, all of the references about, all of these deep. Wait a minute, I think the cat's meowing, trying to get out.
Yeah, they said the whole film is just a version of escaping being normal and coming out trans.
Yeah, but have you seen the other aspect of the film, The Matrix, or the story? I can't remember the lady's name. Apparently, they stole it from her, and she's come out, and she's actually
I've heard something about
I've seen this woman.
She's been paid off because they stole the concept.
She claims to have written the whole concept for it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
there's
someone
another.
just said in chat as well that it's stolen from a woman.
That woman that claims to have Terminator 2 and the Matrix stole off her.
Yeah, yeah, and also, have you seen the connection between the Matrix and John Wick? Apparently,
Apart from it's both got Keanu Reeves.
no. Apparently, it's the same. It's all part of the same thing.
Oh, really? I didn't
seen
bother
the
to
John
watch
Wick
John
films.
Wick. It looked like
Because-
a spin-off
Yeah.
of it.
Right, because I mean, I've only watched John Wick 3, and I only watched that because the dog's in it. Now,
Watched it for the dogs.
yeah, it's got a couple of Belgian Malinois in it, the attack dogs. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
Yeah, and when I watched it, right, when you watch it, you're not sure whether it's meant to be real or it's kind of like, because they travel through time. It's a bit kind of, they suddenly appear like in the desert or whatever it was. So what they're saying is that something like John Wick is part of the Matrix. It's like one of the downloads. So-
Okay.
Yeah, so Keanu Reeves is downloaded into John Wick. So it's almost like, I believe, it's something like John Wick is actually before the Matrix. It's his
Right.
life before the Matrix.
Interesting.
Yeah. But there's loads of quantum gnostics and quantum occultists that have dug really deep into the Matrix and John Wick. John
Quite a few
Wick is very
Reeves films then. Sorry, Lee. Because he's in Constantine as well, isn't it? Which is very occulted.
Yeah, Constantine is sort of a demons and angels type of saga, isn't it?
Yeah, the same with Johnny Depp. A lot of Johnny Depp's movies are occulted. But I think that comes from the producer. I can't remember his name now. Maybe somebody can help me with that.
Tim Robbins.
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton.
That's it.
Yeah, I've actually met him.
Have you?
Yeah, yeah.
My
Yeah.
auntie and uncle used to live on the same road as Johnny Depp's parents in Fort Lauderdale.
Hmm.
They lived in a very normal house, apparently.
Yeah, well, the whole Johnny Depp, Tim Burton thing is a very interesting story. Just the whole thing, and with regards to the movies, I know a lot of esoteric occultists put a lot of value in Johnny Depp movies.
I always thought they were saying two things at once, but
Yeah,
not
well,
in a good way necessarily.
no. Well, that's the nature of occulted knowledge. There's one film in particular. I've mentioned it before. It's called Dead Man. I recommend anybody to watch it.
You have mentioned that a couple of times, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Right.
in one of the groups I was in. We studied that film quite in depth, and it does hold a lot of knowledge.
I feel an episode
They do
coming
put it
on
out there, don't they?
where we actually just do all about films and break down all of these different aspects from science fiction films and these examples where the knowledge is hidden. I think that would make a really good show, actually.
That'd be a fun one.
Right, guys, I'm gonna have to wrap it up because it is still officially like my honeymoon week, and I'm getting moaned at from the other room. She wants to go and kill some zombies with me on Last of Us. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Big up in the Guardians, Word Nerd, and Magix, who sort of drops out at the very last minute there. We will be back in 1 week for a Wednesday night chat, and next week the Friday night carnage will resume. Full in the studio action. Andy PG, Oma Beats. Thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. Word Nerd, would you want to say anything?
You guys go first.
In the Guardians,
I already froze last week.
final thoughts in the Guardians.
Final thoughts. Well, let's take it back to the number 33. Now, the double triad. So just remember, right? There's two triads. One where you can be fed, and one where you're being fed upon. So you need to pay attention to creating the right triad and make sure that you're not giving yourself for free.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Can't go any better than that. Word nerd.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to it.
You're going to come back to it,
I've
guys.
got a whole video coming now on the question you asked me last week.
Oh, okay. We'll look forward to that, mate. We'll look forward to that. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Wednesday night chat number 9. Everybody, don't ever forget to rise above. I'll press
Rise
this.